Welcome everyone. Goddess of Radical Self-Love for MECA, make everyone count always. We are a support network for radical self-love and self-care and master manifesting. Our community here values and supports our caregivers and care receivers. When our community is most vulnerable and those who care for them feel valued and supported, the rest of us are assured we are valued and supported as well. Thank you so much for our new subscribers and your likes, comments, and shares. So we can reach as many caregivers and care receivers as possible. And as many of you know, this is really just about my own accountability. And hopefully others can feel supported and valued by me within that. And each other, if you guys would comment. So, today is, we missed Walk and Roll Away Wednesday. That's what I wanted to say. Yes. So, we will talk about that right after I share with you a message from Esther and Jerry Hicks and getting into the vortex. I can praise abundance wherever I see it. If you seek financial well-being for yourself, you must praise it wherever you see it. If you would like more abundance for yourself personally or for others you care about, you must not criticize those who are experiencing abundance. When you criticize or condemn or push against anything, you activate an opposing vibration to what you seek. Every time, no exception. Which is a very good message since today is a major manifestation day, right? It's the new moon in Leo. And, when I think of Leo, at least from the tarot, it's the sun. It's the happiest time of our life. It's bliss. So, when you think of that, what does that all encompass? And to me, obviously, financial abundance is part of bliss. So, a lot of times, if you want to have, stability. So, even if you just said financial stability, right? So, I say, be around financial abundance, right? Like attracts like. Learn the lessons from those who have them to share. So, Walk and Roll Away Wednesday. I had this message that was like a yin and yang symbol, and it says, take no shit, and on the opposite side, do no harm. And, it's funny because we talked about clarity, all these different, things to be able to basically stand in your truth and be strong. But for me, at least, I'm finding the yin and yang symbol because it's like you can only say something so many ways before you have to just say it the way that somebody's going to hear it. And during that time, you have to be prepared to deal with the response that you have no control over. Right? So it's more like, if you don't really say what's on your mind, you're just going to keep on extending the inevitable, which will make it harder. Yeah. So, sorry. The problem is, well, I'll tell you. So, someone was calling me a whole bunch of times by a restricted number. I thought it was someone else because they had texted me so many times and I didn't answer. So I finally told the person who was texting so many times that I thought it was to stop calling. Or like, why would you be doing this, right? And then they blew up. Then the restricted number called again. They said it wasn't them, okay? Like, how could you think that of me? And there was reasons why. It wasn't like I asked anybody else, right? So there was reason why I would have thought that. And so the restricted number called again, and so then I said to that person, why are you calling from a restricted number? And they're all like, oh, well, I didn't know it was restricted. And even though they've called before, I'm like, okay, what do you need? It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm really tired. Just had a really bad experience because of you. I didn't say it totally like that, so I was still being nice up until this point where, you know, I kind of said a little bit that I just got into an argument with somebody, you know, or whatever, or they just like totally freaked out on me because whatever. And he was like, do you think it's a curse to look the way you do? No, first, wait, back up. Before then, he said that it was because of the way that I tell people no. And I'm like, well, if I've told you no, like, countless times, right? Like, I've told this caller no countless times, and they keep pushing. But then it made it kind of easier when I was asked the question afterwards of, and it was funny too because he's like, oh, I thought you hated me. And it's like, why do I have to hate you to just not want to, like, date you? Right? I mean, like, don't put that on me. So, and then it made it easier for me to say exactly what was on my mind when I was asked if I ever thought it was a curse to look the way I do. I mean, it was pretty easy to just turn around and say, like, well, how would you feel if somebody asked you that? I had to say it like 10 times to make him understand what he just said, but it's like, why do you think that you can say that to me? You know? Anyway, then at that time I was like, do you really think at this time at night I want somebody to be calling me and asking me that? and I was a little bit louder by this time. So really, I think it's more like I just need to maybe let go of caring. I don't know, maybe that's it. I'll just let go of caring altogether. I don't know, it's just so ridiculous. So if it's not right away, I'm just gonna be like, it's not right. Something's wrong. Like, can you please stop, back off? Like, this is going nowhere quickly. So, but I do want to be able to, obviously be nice and take into consideration, like, I don't know everything these people are going through, so gentle. I'm gonna like tap into Princess Diana. So again, I still don't know exactly what it's called, what I'm walking and rolling away from. Bullshit. Oh my god. It kind of is that way. I mean, I have to not second guess my intuition from the beginning. I wish I could just, and walking and rolling away from anger was a long time ago, so maybe I just need to re-up that deal, like, I wish I could walk and roll away from annoyance. That's my real problem. I get annoyed so easy. I know that should be the one I'm working on. Because that's what it was with both of them. It was both annoyance. It was just annoyance. You remind me of my brother. Or something, It's like, I don't know why I'm so annoyed by you, but, like, we can be friends. Anyway, so it took me like way too long to say that because I have so much work to do since we're opening iBud. Yay! iBudme.com. I'm so funny. Anyway, this is a really good one. I wish I could read the entire thing, but I'm not going to, obviously. So, of course, we're working with my boyfriend Maslow since today is Transcendence Thursday. And today's lesson definitely is helping me. I mean, I would say for the majority, like, from what I've read so far, it's like being love, right? Because we're on B cognition and peak experiences, right? Be love, like being love, is real, or I guess cognition. He's saying whatever. I think it's love. I think beingness is love. And when we're using decognition, like deficiency cognition from our deficiency needs, like those lower physiological safety, security, love, and belonging. I know love is in there, but it's more about the community at that point, not yourself. Because you have to go through your hurt to like actually have the love for others. So when you're on that like community and family, it doesn't mean you're actually working from that beingness yet. And then the deficiency ones, you're working out of those. Even if you're in the community, right? It's about belonging still. It's about getting a need met to belong, right? So, anyway, it really relates to, though, for me, what I'm seeing is that at times there's certain experiences that will bring about being love, right? Beingness or be cognition. But I believe, and there's certain people, that are you very closely related to. But I think there's also just like these sparks, right? Where instantly you can tell that's one of your being people. So, like an instant attraction, chemistry, like over and above, like the typical, right? At least that's what I think. If your motivational factors line up, I think it's a lot easier to find those and recognize that that's what they are quicker. So yeah, so everybody should take my motivational map assessment at goddess.ibodme@gmail.com. So yeah, not just love partners, but friends. Here we go. Be cognition and peak experience is. I shall present one by one now in a condensed summary the characteristics of the cognition found in the generalized peak experience, using the term cognition in an extremely broad sense. In B cognition, the experience or the object tends to be seen as a whole, as a complete unit, detached from relations, from possible usefulness, from expectancy, and from purpose. It is seen as if it were all there was in the universe, and if it were all of being, as if it were all of being, synonymous with the universe. Time stopped. Right? When you held your baby. This contrasts with decognition, which includes most human cognitive experiences. Sorry, I'm so getting sweaty. These experiences are partial and incomplete in ways that will be described below. We are reminded here of the absolute idealism of the 19th century, in which all the universe was conceived to be a unit. Since this unity could never be encompassed or perceived or cognized, I knew I was going to not say this right, cognized, whatever, you can't cognitively perceive it, by a limited human being. All actual human cognitions were perceived as necessarily part of being and never conceivably the whole of it. So you're taking it apart, right? When there is a B cognition, the percept is exclusively and fully attended to. This may be called total attention. What I am trying to describe here is very much akin to fascination or complete absorption. You know it. If you've ever been in love. Or like I said with your baby, like any animal, just like so incredibly in love, you just can't handle it. In such attention, the figure becomes all figure, and the ground, in effect, disappears, or at least is not importantly perceived. It is as if the figure were isolated for the time being from all else, as if the world were forgotten, as if the percept had become for the moment the whole of being. I just love my boyfriend. He's amazing. He writes so. Oh! Since the whole of being is perceived, all those laws obtain which would hold if the whole of the cosmos could be encompassed at once. Listen to that. Since the whole of being is being perceived, all those laws obtain which would hold if the whole of the cosmos could be encompassed at once. This kind of perception is in sharp contrast to normal perception. Here, the object is attended to simultaneously with attention to all else that is relevant. All else that is relevant. It is seen embedded in its relationships with everything else in the world and as part of the world. Right? Like a piece of pie. Normal figure-ground relationships hold, i.e., both the ground and the figure are attended to, although in different ways. Furthermore, in ordinary cognition, the object is seen not so much per se, but as a member of a class, as an instance in a larger category. This kind of perception I have described as rubricizing, and again would point out that this is not so much a full perception of all aspects of the objects or person being perceived as it is a kind of taxonomy, a classifying, a ticketing off into one file cabinet or another. And I had to laugh at that because, like, because of the assessment and the grids and all the work that I do, because I mean, it's definitely what I do. I have studied from a lot of his work. I mean, a lot of other people's, but I think it's funny because he said it could never be done. But then he talks about it being done in here, so in another personality test we'll get to. So, to a far greater degree than we ordinarily realize, cognition involves also placing on a continuum. It involves a kind of automatic comparing or judging or evaluating. Right? And that's also when we are utilizing radical self-love, why we talk about non-comparisons, that we are all each our own unique individual here to, do our part within the collective, right? So there is no comparison. Like, even if you're in sports, some days it's your day and some days it's not, right? I mean, just because somebody won doesn't mean they're necessarily faster. It just means on that day, with those conditions, they work, right? So it's really just a matter of a perception, always, because of the conditions set not only by us, but the universe as one. So it's either your day or it's not sometimes. All the time. That's right. Oh, okay. I guess I'm having help. Okay. It implies higher than, less than, better than, taller than, etc. Right? When we're comparing. B cognition may be called non-comparing cognition or non-evaluating or non-judging cognition. I mean this in the sense in which Dorothy Lee has described the way in which certain primitive peoples differ from us in their perceptions. A person can be seen per se in himself and by himself. He can be seen uniquely and idiosyncratically as if he were the sole member of his class. This is what we mean by perception of the unique individual, and this is, of course, what all clinicians try to achieve, right? Because a great amount of the time when somebody is having, let's say, depression or anxiety, it's because they are comparing and judging and perceiving things only in one light without realizing that they're comparing and judging, that they don't need to, right? That they are perfect in the wholeness of who they are. Yes? Radical self-love. I'm telling you, that's number one. It has to be. A person can be seen per se in himself. Oh, I already read this. Okay, I'm just going to keep going on. This is what we mean by perception of the unique individual, and this is, of course, what all clinicians try to achieve. Sorry for reading that. But it is also a very difficult task. Far more difficult than we are ordinarily willing to admit. However, it can happen if only transiently, and does happen characteristically in the peak experience. The healthy mother perceiving her infant in love approaches to this kind of perception of the uniqueness of a person. Her baby is not quite like anybody else in the world. It is a marvelous, perfect, and fascinating, at least to the extent that she is able to detach herself from Jessel's norms and comparisons with neighbors' children. Right? I mean, overall, perceiving and characterizing, I think, like judging, because we have to do some judging in order to make sure the collective or our societies are running in a favorable manner for all peoples. So we're going to have to look at some of those, and right? I mean, or elect people who do that in the correct manner. But one by one, going through your neighborhood, right? Like, Johnny's kid won the, whatever, spelling bee for the 5th time, and you haven't gotten over a C this whole year, like, weirdness with your kids. Like, just try to pick out, obviously, what they love to do and have them keep doing that, and then find other things they love to do. Anyway, I don't know why I just said all that. So this is a weird day. I have so much going on in my brain. So concrete perceiving of the whole of the object implies also that it is seen with care. Contrariwise, caring for the object will produce the sustained attention, the repeated examination that is so necessary for perception of all aspects of the object. All aspects. All aspects. As one. You don't pick them out, like, pick things off. Like, you just love it as the whole. The caring minuteness with which a mother will gaze upon her infant again and again, or the lover at his beloved, or the connoisseur at his painting, will surely produce a more complete perception than the usual casual rubricizing which passes illegitimately for perception. We may expect richness of detail and many-sided awareness of the object from this kind of absorbed, fascinated, fully attended cognition. This contrasts with the product of casual observation, which gives only the bare bones of the experience, an object which is seen in only some of its aspects, in a selective way and from a point of view of importance and unimportance. Is there any unimportant part of a painting, a baby, or a beloved? See, how can you not love my boyfriend? I mean, he's amazing. So, I'm going to go work on iBod Me now. I do love the website. It's coming along really beautifully, so yay! I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Yes, please let me know what you're walking and rolling away from. And I will see you tomorrow on Freaky Friday, and I will show you my finished painting, even though I haven't finished the flowers yet that I was supposed to. My friend says it will never be finished. We'll show him. So, I love you all. Thank you so much. Oneness. Ciao, ciao for now.